The era of digital privacy is officially dead, and the device that's probably sitting in your pocket or resting in your hand or something like that is the exact weapon that they used to kill it. For the last 10 years, we have been living in a massive global state of denial. We convinced ourselves that paying over $1,000 for a premium rectangle of glass and metal meant that we actually owned the hardware and the software, and that the passcode on our lock screen actually protected the data inside. But the truth and the horrifying reality is that the modern smartphone was never designed to be a personal assistant or help you out. It was designed from the ground up to be a 24/7 telemetry node for a corporate state surveillance network. We willingly walked into an inescapable trap, trading away every single ounce of our digital autonomy in exchange for, I guess, the convenience of a sync calendar, like texting, messaging, stuff like that, and infinite scrolling on feeds. But the trap has finally snapped shut. The era of the open internet and the user-controlled hardware is unfortunately being violently dismantled before our very eyes. The tech monopolies and the governments around the world have realized that almost every single human being on Earth now literally just has a phone, and it's permanently tethered to them. And they are using that absolute dependency with us on our phones to force unskippable kernel-level tracking into the core of our operating systems. Today, we are breaking down the absolute nightmare that has become the modern smartphone. We are going to look at pretty much how mandatory artificial intelligence is acting as a built-in wiretap pretty much, and how new legal mandates are literally forcing companies to build permanent backdoors into your local storage in your phone itself, and why the classic escape routes like custom operating systems and even dumb phones are being systematically destroyed. The illusion of ownership is over, and we are completely out of places to hide. To understand exactly how cooked we are, you have to look back at the massive shift happening at the hardware and operating system level. For years, the tracking was mostly isolated to applications themselves. If you download it. If you didn't want Facebook tracking you, all you could do is just delete the Facebook app. It was simple. But the massive tech duopoly of Apple and Google realized that relying on app-level permissions was inefficient. They decided to take the surveillance directly into the metal of the device. We are currently living through the forced integration of local artificial intelligence, where operating systems are being completely rewritten to monitor activity at a system-wide level. We are even seeing the rollout of features that take constant background snapshots of your own screen, log every single keystroke that you make across every application, and categorize your private photos and messages using on-device machine learning. They market this to you as smart intelligence and seamless integration, but in reality, they're building a massive searchable database of your entire digital consciousness that is constantly pinging home to massive servers. You cannot uninstall these features. You cannot even disable these background telemetry stuff while breaking the core functionality of the phone operating system. And even worse, these companies, they've implemented draconian hardware attestation protocols. In the past, if you hated the tracking on your Android device, you could just unlock the bootloader and flash a privacy-focused custom operating system like Graphene OS. But now, if you try to take control of your own hardware, the tech giants will try and remotely break your access to things like banking applications, digital wallets, and even high definition streaming. And in some cases, you just can't even install other OSes. They have essentially built a system where refusing to be tracked means you are completely exiled from participating in modern digital society. The walls of the garden they've gotten even higher. They're being topped with barbed wire if you think about it. Pretty terrifying. But the corporate greed and telemetry harvesting is only half of this nightmare. The real terror is coming from both the legal and the government sector. For years, we have thought that governments would step in and regulate these massive tech monopolies to protect user privacy. But the exact opposite has happened. The governments around the world have realized that Apple and Google have built the most efficient, universally adopted surveillance network in all of human history. And instead of trying to tear it all apart, they decided to hijack it for their own interests. We are seeing proposals and active laws in multiple countries demanding client-side scanning. What this means is that before your private message, photo, or even email is even encrypted encrypted and sent across the internet, the operating system on your phone is legally required to scan the file locally, cross-reference it with like a government database of banned or illegal content, and flag your account or your device if it finds a match. They're completely bypassing the concept of end-to-end encryption by turning the device in your own hand into a state informant. The concept of a private digital conversation is being fundamentally outlawed. If you buy a modern smartphone, you are legally like purchasing a device that is mandated by law to assume that you are a criminal, preemptively scanning your personal memories and private jokes just to prove your innocence to like an automated algorithm. The security theater has reached like its absolute peak, using the guise of public safety to completely shred the Fourth Amendment, as well as normalize the idea that a private corporation has the right to monitor the contents of your local hard drive 24/7 hours a day. And the most terrifying part of this entire situation is the inescapable social coercion. Like, we used to joke about like our phones like spying on us, like throwing them away and moving into like some remote woods or something like that, or downgrading to a basic like old flip phone to escape the tracking. But the tech monopolies have spent the last decade ensuring that the dumb phone escape route is effectively like now patched. Like, they have like systematically interwoven the smartphone into like the absolute basic requirements of human existence. Like, you can no longer function in modern society with like an iOS or an Android device. Like, try applying for a corporate job without a smartphone to run their mandatory two-factor authentication apps like Duo, for example. Try managing your finances when banks are closing physical branches and forcing everyone onto mobile applications that require hardware level security like checks. Try traveling, accessing like public services or public transport, or even parking your car in a major city without a QR code scanner and a digital wallet. The subscription to society now requires you to carry a tracking device. Like, they have engineered a reality when opting out of the surveillance state effectively means like opting out of the economy itself, as well as your social life and your career. Like, we are entirely trapped in a digital ecosystem that we do not own, running software that we cannot control on hardware that is actively working against us. Like, the sheer scale of the monopoly is suffocating. Even if you want to fight back, your only options now are a massive $1 trillion hardware company that builds closed source prisons, or an advertising conglomerate that openly like reads your emails to sell you shoes or something like that. There's no third options. The rebellion has been like completely starved of oxygen pretty much, because the infrastructure like required to live a normal life has been entirely like monopolized. This is unfortunately the bleak, unavoidable reality of the modern internet. The era of the personal computer is over, and the era of the mandatory tracking terminal has completely taken over. Like, we spent years like worrying about like, hackers breaking into our devices, like completely ignoring the fact that the manufacturers were really like building the back doors into the operating systems like themselves for governments to use. Like, many people know like exactly what is happening, but we're all like completely paralyzed by the convenience and the coercion. Like, we are marching directly into a future where privacy is a luxury that no one can afford, and anonymity is treated as like a criminal offense by default. The tech giants, they won. They successfully convinced the entire human race to purchase, charge, and carry their own surveillance equipment every single day. Like, the walls have closed in, the escape routes have been like patched, and we're like finally realizing the true cost of the free internet. Like, it's looking kind of bleak, and I do want to hear from you guys, like, any thoughts on this opinion. Like, sometimes I feel like my phone like I remember once like I was talking to my friend about like McDonald's, like a McDonald's ad. Like, maybe I'm just being a little bit paranoid, but that did kind of freak me out like the other day. But yeah, just let me know in the comments, and let's just like keep this conversation going. I'll see you next time.